I want to thank Michael and Dorothy for inviting me to be part of tonight, which is Michael's launch of his new collection, Circus Americana. And he asked me to read a few poems and then introduce him. So that's what I will do. Michael has divided his book into 5 sections. They are titled Not Getting Along, Bewilderment, Burned Out, Friends, and I Love You. So I have chosen 4 of my own poems, which fall somewhat loosely into these categories. The first poem is titled In the Diner of a New Day. In the diner of a new day. There are 2 mornings on the menu. You can order the light fare or the lumberjack, with or without real time, with or without fresh squeezed conversation. The girl holding her small pad, pen poised and eyes down, is familiar. And facing you in the booth is who you knew once to fail at courage. The slick, fingerprinted menu smeared with token wisdoms and bad breath lies open. And though you are ravenous from a night of knee-breaking hikes toward heaven, nothing describes a plate that will smell like the sack of clover and lavender you'd hoped for. Nowhere is the beverage that will coat the throat with a stream's tumbling. The morning of twin reckonings is yoked oxen pulling opposite directions, is the quandary every maker of lists and days faces, territory of chefs and sinners. You might plunge in, choose from morning A, morning B, the way God must have, thorn-studded, smooth-stalked, garrulous, silent, swimmers, walkers. Still, the shy waitress on the checkered linoleum waits at the foot of your unmade table. Its shredded napkins, its salt and pepper lighthouses, defraying an overcast day. You cannot, for the life of pie cases and today's specials embedded in black corrugated signboards, conjure an answer. You think it helps to believe a story. You think you might ask for the lunch menu. And the waitress is so patient. Thank you. The next poem is called The Ravens. Having clipped their nails and clacked their castanets from our flat roof, the ravens have flown to black limbs to practice imitations of hooded highwaymen and surly nuns. Who knows what they're scheming behind sleek brows and indented chests? To what dark rooms do they remove? On whose felt-covered table do they play their hand? And what do they make of white bags fraying in their trees? The streets colored with crushed cans and straw-stabbed cups mid-suck. They rise for trucks and veer languid, resigned to cars. They will discuss the camouflage women and men might try on. Rumbled cloud, bramble, drift, costumes that resemble the lift and flocked freedom they enjoy. Aerial vantage, pocked canyon, plunge. The ravens slap their tambourines. They want to be surprised. They'd like to see our gawky bodies trapped in vehicles emerge and rise. Thank you. So Michael has a beautiful section of love poems in his book. And whenever I try to write a love poem, it becomes very ironic and cynical and sort of snarky. But this is a poem that is a love poem, and it's a love poem that follows the aftermath of a fight or a long silence. It's called Love After Stalemate. First, she thought, mind was the cabinet of answers. Books would drop clues. Lids would lift and spew folded notes jittered with tiny lights that would telegraph what was needed to turn the stuttered axis. But it was not the steps or koans or what others had discovered of God. It was the cupboard of cups, thigh into groin, palm to neck, and the shelf of bowls, hips spilling accusation. It was tongues like bees caught in late season blooms. Last ditch, her hollows like leaves beaming up from the stream bottom, while water wings sang, "Dervish me divine." There was no practicing it or quoting, no posting to 1,000 friends, no mention of charge or balance, tender tally. It was off the table, taken up, which is to say, as with certain debt, they forgave. Thank you. So this next poem has an epigraph, which is the definition of a Hebrew word, ruah. And the word ruah has many possible definitions, and the ones that I've mentioned for the sake of this poem are spirit, breath of God, and blowing of wind. Absence of wind, aftermath. Windless dawn reties her sash. What has fallen remains fallen. What has splintered will not be sutured. Windless noon, tides recede. Nothing strewn, nothing stolen. A small room opens its door. One thought, two breaths. What does a body do, robbed of velocity? How does a throat, bereft of ruah, shape its plea? Night, star-becalmed and reluctant to speak. A cry shudders dark grasses. Bone cracks between teeth. Give me the brow, absent of inquiry and need. Arms hung useless, sails collapsed. In the trees, no rustle and bough. In the field, no one flees. No disaster rising at sea. Ruah, what quavers the throat's dark coil and returns to it, song. Let fever lift, may the pond rest unriffled. May the blossoms be given one more day to be praised. Now, I was trying to think what the name of a music group is when it precedes the big act. That's what I was. The opening. I was the opening act. Yeah, okay. But now, Michael. So now I get to introduce my friend Michael Scofield. Michael Scofield is a prolific writer whose books include a trilogy of novels, several volumes of poetry, and in 2015 and 2016, the upcoming titles Sand, a collection of flash fiction, and People Helping People, a collection of interviews. Before moving to Santa Fe in 1995, Michael and his wife ran a high-tech marketing communications company in Palo Alto, California. In 2002, Michael received his MFA in writing from Vermont College of Fine Arts. His productivity is impressive, and the good humor, tenderness, wit, and wisdom in his poems is infectious. His courage to address a political landscape that infuriates is unswerving, and his breadth of voice is exemplified by sharing such tough, unsettling themes with vulnerable love poems. But what I love about this writer is his capacity to share his passion for the writerly journey, to be a friend, supporter, and inspiration to me and many Santa Fe writers, and a lively member of our literary community. Of his new collection, Circus Americana, Michael says, "For readers, I wish a sense of enlightenment, however false, however fleeting, and a little fun." Please welcome my friend, Michael Scofield.
This morning, thought I was having a heart attack, and when I got up from my nap, I had lower back pain, and it's all gone now. It's so good to see all of you. Thanks, Barbara. You're a dear friend. Thanks to Jim, Carl, and Vicki at Sunstone Press. Longtime friends, as is Dorothy and Mary, her daughter Mary, and Ashley Talmadge did a great job of publicizing this evening for Barbara and me. Look at this crowd, my gosh. We were hoping for 25, 30, and looks like we've got 40 people here. Thanks so much for coming. Tonight's reading launches Circus Americana. It's my 4th collection. For those of you wanting to buy a copy afterward, or a copy of Barbara's books, and a copy of Barbara's books, I hope you'll get enlightenment from both our efforts and a few laughs. This book has a purpose. When I look at what's happening in the world, I feel dark. When I think of friends like all of you, I feel light. When I think of my wife, I feel light. The book's first 3 sections are darker, as Barbara alluded to. The last 2 sections, uplifting. Most of these poems were begun before Noreen and I left 2 years ago to experiment with living in Southern California at a huge retirement community near Laguna Beach. It didn't work out. We weren't ready to retire. And those 12-lane freeways are daunting. And we missed all our friends here. I'll be reading for 20 minutes, and then we'll make time for questions. And I appreciate it if you'll hold your applause until the end of the reading. The first section of the book, as Barbara said, is called Not Getting Along. This poem is called To a Pulitzer Prize Winner. You can write, but oh dear God, the detail. What 8 spices you stir into your curry? What subtropical animal your belt caused the death of? The payoff's not worth the wait. She lost her baby. They divorced. End of story. And the other poem on this book has 81 poems in it, and I'm not going to read them all. I'm going to read samples. This poem is from Not Getting Along also, and it's the title poem of the book, Circus Americana. It was written when we invaded Iraq in 2006, and it's undergone some revisions. And it looks like it's very timely again, because it looks like on the ground within months. That's my own prediction. Circus Americana. We're going to invade, and my tongue tastes the rotten eggs of gunpowder. Mow them down, cut them to ribbons, cornhole their women, and shish kebab their children. Can't you hear our cabinet's altar boys storming the West Wing to watch HDTV? Onward, Christian Medal of Honor winners, while Sumerian masks gawk in the Antiquities Museum, and washer-dryers rust in shops, awaiting their liberators.